Okay, it's Monday the 16th of April and the FTSE is currently just following a bit of a trend channel on its way down to this 225 level. Now, if the market pops down here and hits this sort of 225, 226 area, I'm going to get long on a blind position, looking for round about a sort of 7 to 10 point bounce depending on how the market reacts. I want to be careful of the sloping resistance. Basically, the market has been selling off all day. Up at these levels was really where I wanted to get short, but we just didn't pull back enough and test at the level. Now, since then, we have just been continuing to drift lower. No real aggressive selling as yet. You know, we're still having the buyers stepping in, creating the nice swing points, which is telling me that there are buyers in the market. There are also profit takers in the market. This 225 level is one of the important or relatively important levels of potential support, because the way the market has been just drifting lower and because of the way it's very likely going to line up with this sloping support line. I'm happy to get into a blind buy looking for that bullish bounce. So basically, if we look on the, let's get this right, daily time frame, the market gapped up over the weekend. Coming into the weekend, we're being a little bit cautious because of the uncertainty around Syria. Now, everyone would really have been looking for this market to gap down. And that's why I don't hold positions when you're going into, certainly into weekends when nobody really knows what's going to happen. Now, we came up and we tested at this very key level. We went over this in the Sunday analysis for a very strong potential sell coming in from this level. What have we done? Gapped up into it. Huge rejection starting to come in. Now, unfortunately, this happened too late in the day. I was basically tucked up in bed. Completely missed it. But, you know, hopefully some of you guys managed to capitalize on shorting from up at those levels. It was one of the very key levels we were looking for. We're now coming back down toward where the market has tested once, twice, three times. If we start to come back, we can see another test right here. It's a level of potential support, basically. We can see as the market has started to break up, we've came down, we've tested, we've spiked down, we've tested at this level. Because it's lining up with the trend channel, I'm happy to look for the potential bounce. If we just drop down and test at the level. Waiting for it, if it lines up, I will enter into the buy position and then we'll turn the video back on. Okay, so we've just gone long on the FTSE. It's came down into this 225 level, which is that area of potential support. Also watching at the sloping support line. In case the FTSE needs to dive down, test this level before we see that potential bounce. Now, something else worthwhile talking about is on Friday, so going into the weekend, I had a down day. So took a trade, it was a losing trade, and then for me personally, I find losses on a Friday probably the hardest to deal with, because you're taking the loss and then you're heading into the weekend. Now, what can happen is, as a trader, you've sort of got, when you have a loss, you've sort of got two different roads that you can go down. The first road is that you maybe, shake your head, get a little bit annoyed, get a little bit frustrated, and then you get back to your trading plan. Or the other road is that you let the loss start to dictate what it is that you're doing at the chart. And what I mean by that is the loss kind of pulls you into the chart and you start making mistakes. You start doing things like emotional trading. You start abandoning your plan. And then basically everything falls apart. If you find yourself reacting like that when you're trading, get your ass up off of the seat and get away from the computer after you have a loss. It's pretty much as simple as that. You need to get away from the computer. You need to stop trading. What you can do is, well, what you should be doing anyway, is tracking your trades. And what to do is, when you have those bouts of emotional trading, so let's say the loss pulls you into that emotional trading or whatever it may be, maybe you're just having a bad day. When you have those results on your result sheet, highlight the sections that were emotional trading and mistakes in red. And then at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, whatever it may be for you, whenever you look at your trading results, look at all the sections that aren't red and look at your trading, what you'll most likely find is that you are trading pretty well. You would have either ended the month in profit, maybe you would have been break even, or maybe you would have made a small loss. But then when you add in those red sections, you can see the absolute devastation that you're doing to your trading account. And that's when you have the massive swings, the enormous drawdowns, when you start to really damage your account. By writing it down and by seeing it on that Excel sheet, it really helps you sort of see it in a concrete way, something that you can't turn your head away from because it's right there in front of you and you've highlighted it in red. That is what is causing you to remain as a losing trader. And then what you need to do is figure out ways to take those red sections and remove them from the next month's sheet of results. And one of the easiest ways to do it is get your ass away from the computer when you have a loss. If you are an emotional trader, when you have a loss, you know that basically your discipline and the way you're going to trade is going to be hampered, it's going to be damaged. So get up from the computer, go for a walk. If you've got a laptop, close the laptop. If you've got a PC, shut down the PC. Take your dog for a walk. If you don't have a dog, take yourself for a walk. Get out of the house. Because what you need to be able to do is basically reset yourself. I'm sure every time you've had a loss, even if you've had an emotional losing day, when you then reassess it, what you say to yourself is, if I'd just taken that initial loss and just accepted it, it's not really that bad. It's part of trading. The real damage started when I tried to fix that loss by making back the money. So what do you need to do? You need to stop trading. You can also do things like punish yourself. Sounds really bad. I mean, you can punish yourself in terms of trading. If you have the loss, you can stop yourself from coming back to the computer the next day. You can say, okay, I don't mean the loss, sorry. I mean, if you have the mistake, which causes to have the loss or the win. If you make the mistake in your trading plan and you emotional trade or whatever, if you have that, you ban yourself from trading the next day. And if it continues, you ban yourself trading for an entire week. And then what happens is you start to associate the mistakes with stopping you from getting back at the charts, and it starts to become a negative thing. If you don't punish yourself, and if you just keep doing it over and over and over again, it's just going to repeat. You're not associating the mistakes with something that you need to fix. You're just associating them with something that you sort of brush under the rug and say, oh, that won't happen again. It might be the 782nd time that I've done that, but this time it's definitely not going to happen again. You need to start building ways to stop it from happening. The result sheet, highlighting it in red, is going to help you a lot. Just getting up from the computer, get away from the charts. We're basically looking at what? Stupid rectangles that are green and red, and trying to determine where they're going to move next. When you sit down and think about it, it's a ridiculous endeavor. And if you allow it to pull you in, it can become almost impossible to try and read the market, to try and sort of separate what you're seeing from your trading plan, and to try and make good trading decisions. Just take a break. That's what I do. I still take a break after I have a loss. After I have a loss, I just sort of get away from the computer because it doesn't kind of affect me as much as it used to. Because, the more you trade, the more you get used to it. When you've been doing this for years and years, you have to get used to the losses, or otherwise you can't trade. But for most of the time, I just get away from the computer. I go and have a coffee, whatever it may be. And then if I do have a loss, and for some reason that loss is really getting to me, I know that if I continue to trade, I will make mistakes. And if I make mistakes, it's likely going to cost me money. And if I make mistakes that cost me money, it means that the next day that I sit at the computer, and the day after that, and the day after that, I'm going to have to try and fix those mistakes. Or not fix the mistakes, I'm going to have to trade until my account gets back to where it was before I made the mistakes. If I just gotten away from the computer, those mistakes wouldn't be there. And I could just come back and start trading as normal once again. I wouldn't have to worry about the damage that I've done to the account. I can promise you guys, if you start addressing the mistakes that you're making and start facing them head on, it's going to make a huge difference to you. Okay, so what are we looking at here with this bloody trade after the tangent? I should also mention, what are we at? We're at 12:45. I need to be a little bit careful here. We're in lunch. I am looking for this bounce. I'm looking for 7 to 10 points, as I mentioned. I want to be careful of the sloping resistance. My girlfriend has also just accepted an offer on her house. She sold her house today. So she is likely going to call me over lunch. So I don't want to be trapped in this trade over lunch, especially not if I'm doing this video. So I need to be careful. Yeah, she sold her house. Really good news because we're moving in to a house on the 1st of June, and that's now everything nice and tied up. Let's have a look here. So we've got swing point right here as an area of potential resistance. We've also got that sloping resistance line, but what I'm looking at is how we've came down, tested at the support zone. I've shown you it on the daily time frame, why it is a potential support zone. So I am really looking for some sort of a bounce. The 7 to the 10 points. Nothing too extreme because we are now in a pretty bearish market, as I mentioned in the Sunday analysis. You know, after we tested at, where are we? This level here. There was the good possibility that the market would then start turning bearish once again. And I mean bearish longer term, because we've had this very strong move up, but it's not really created a lot of significant levels of support. So areas where the buyers are going to be too interested once again. So really, I mean, we may be coming all the way back down to 164, and then really the very key levels, they don't start until we get back down to 7,077. So I want to be a little bit careful with the buys, is basically what I am saying. But it's got a number of confluences. I was happy to get into this potential trade. What are we at? We're at 9 minutes on this video. What I'll do is I will pause it. There's not really a lot else to go over at this minute. I'm just looking for the bounce. I've explained the sloping support. I've made the decisions on the trade. Not really going to make any changes or consider coming out unless we start to test at this previous little swing at a minimum. So yeah, we'll just wait and see if we get some sort of bounce. Stop is, because I've went in at £30 per point, around about 15 points, but I would likely come out before then, because 15 points would be, you know, pretty much it would be coming down and breaking down below this zone. Okay, so we're just up now and testing at this previous little swing point, around about 4 points. The trade is now open on the screen. The market has pressed up. It's moved up in a pretty slow, sort of sideways, choppy move. I was really hoping for the market to come down, sellers to take some profits, and buyers to step in and force the market up in a relatively quick movement. It's not happened. Now that we're testing at the previous swing, I want to be a little bit careful of how this trade is going to react. So something else worthwhile going over is, why was I happy to buy if I was looking at a trend channel? You know, so I'm buying into the trend channel down here, but the upper resistance band is very close. Basically because, similar to last week's live trade video, I'm telling myself a story. I've got a trend channel here, sure, but coming into today, I was already looking at this as a pretty good level of support. So it's giving me one confluence. Then I've got the sloping support here as a second confluence. And what I'm doing is I'm sort of weighing up. I'm thinking, okay, we've got a resistance line here, but first of all, it's already been broken. So what's that telling me? It's telling me that the buyers thus far have been willing to break out of this channel. So we tested here, we then came down, we got a nice stronger break up before we broke back down inside. It's telling me that the buyers are looking or willing to potentially break up. So when I start adding those things in, it's already a pretty good buy level for me. It was lining up with the previous level of structure. Coming into today also, the market has moved down. I didn't get the test here for the sell that I was looking for. Unfortunately, we broke down, retested, just didn't quite get what I was looking for either. A little bit unfortunate. But then we've came down here, and it's lining up pretty perfectly. Now, if I hadn't had such a strong level where I'd be willing to buy into the market blind, very likely I wouldn't have taken a signal unless it had broken out of the trend channel and pulled back, like something like this, and it had pulled back into the zone and then given me the signal, testing at sloping resistance broken, then becoming support. That would have given me another little added confluence. But what I'm doing is I'm using the key zone as the confluence at this point. It was already a good level for a buy position, and I was already expecting some sort of a bounce. Doesn't need to be a significant bounce. You know, you're still in the trade. I'm still managing the trade. I'm not just blindly holding it. And then I had the sloping support on top of that. So adding all of those things together, it outweighed the potential for this to just press up, reject, and then crash down. We've already had such a very strong move down that for me it was less likely that we would just touch and then break through. We've also got S3, the pivot level S3 at this zone. So just another little added confluence. And I'm adding them all together and I'm figuring out if I'm willing to take the trade. As I mentioned, because it's a blind position, a bit of a larger stop. So the risk size is smaller, £30 per point, to keep the risk at a suitable level. And now that we're up testing at this level, I'm really just looking for it to give it another little spurt higher, sort of 7 to 10 points, and I'll be happy with the trade. Okay, so we're right up at that profit target level. I'm just going to close this out. I'm watching. If we start to get rejection, I'm also going to come out of this trade because we are so close to the target. And as I've mentioned, I was really looking for a faster break up on this market. So 6.8 points, we'll take that and we will lock in the profit. Okay, so that trade completed successfully. Got a nice bullish bounce off of this level. In all honesty, really it's just wiping my face from the Friday loss, but that is all part of trading. You have wins, you have losses, and most of the time you just see your account going like this, and then you have those spurts of profitability, then you have a little bit of drawdowns, presses higher, drawdowns, and what you're doing again, you're just moving sideways, and then you're looking for another good run where you get your profits once again. Okay guys, so that is everything for today. As always, I hope that was helpful. I hope you're all having a good trading week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.